So abusunya yeguso ewo chairman Wontumi ne HSA 20 years imprisonment no abusunya yeguso drop update edema na lawyer Martin Kpebu aba be drop details on chairman Wontumi ne 20 years in jail no abusunya ocha sisi chairman Wontumi and the lawyers for no say appeal and omoko and lawyer Andy Apia Kubi or withdraw from chairman Wontumi no or can be say chairman Wontumi a friend before say or kwako pimu e court enne na chairman Wontumi ka kire ne say in case same omoko court na say ye book case ne bona say omo fight for appeal right now no chairman Wontumi lawyers no e ba be file for appeal according to lawyer Martin Kpebu no de obo judge na ba so say there is everything is on the right track na the NPP ne chairman Wontumi mo eba be ye no Ghana ha say no during NPP tenure Wontumi an hold the chairman Wontumi into accountable sisi no NDC government no aya de ya o che say uhia judge okokudufo ansa no watumi amekisa final judgment to and as a final ruling chairman Wontumi and lawyer Martin Kpebu ababe drop hot details on the 20 years into prison enye easy crown also also say there is no presidential pardon bia if say you betumi am presidential pardon unless say was served for 13 years and no cramp no and only a next NDC government and son were to me asking for presidential pardon yanko na yanko kuti and some lawyer Martin Kpebu edituja or political highway so ye ba ye de aka ebeto am so na san e be kon Ghana ha say open computer papa and a laptop papa na we use here Burial periodic computers and accessories and I'll be laptop papa na we're using location and ya kwan o Kumase Buokrum Estate Eli Fre number na egu screen ya say ba ya de aka beto am
of Chairman Wontumi, known by his government name Bernard Entry Bwesiakon, to 20-year terms in prison to run concurrently in hard labor, 10,000 penalty units as well. But let's have a conversation on the back of this, as Mawen has already indicated. Private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu is joining us on the subject matter. Martin, sound decision by the High Court?
Decision, yes, it is. It's a sound decision, without doubt. I was in there, at least I listened to the judge for at least altogether at least 1 hour. I was in there for more than 1 hour, but I had to go do my other cases. What I heard was very sound. Kudos to Justice Kokuvite. I'm sure she'll be one of the next candidates to go to the Court of Appeal. She's been in the High Court for long. So we hope President Mahama will look favorably on her and send her to the Court of Appeal. She's done a good job. Look, it takes bravery, It takes a lot of bravery to render this decision. We don't, so we should, look at what can be done to also show the judge appreciation. Not everybody can give such a decision because when you go, sitting in court there and say, hey, is that the Ashanti regional minister? Listen, you see, I'm even saying minister. You see, Chairman Wontumi at a point, they were calling him what? He said he was the governor. Though there was a minister, he said he was the Ashanti governor. And you know what that meant. You see, so on the ground, he wielded a lot of power. And yet here, today, he was in the dock and Justice Audrey Kokuvite was reading the judgment. Then I felt that, oh yes, Ghana is working again. Ghana is working again because this is the same kind of case that where under Kufuor administration, we presented our petitions against Chairman Wontumi as far back as October 2022. 2022, more than 2 years before Kufuor left office. Yeah, right. The CID boss at that time, and Kofi, and then IGP, they were doing kukwasa, like so to wait, delay, because of Chairman Wontumi's influence. So you see why we had to change the MPP so that the system would work. Because as long as MPP remained in power, Chairman Wontumi was not going to be brought to book because he was governor of the Ashanti region, governor. And today he's been showing his real size, right? Yeah, so it's good. It's a good judgment by all standards. But in the legal system, you can expect that he's going to go on appeal, etc.
Absolutely. What do you say to those who think that the judge Kokuvite should have waited for the Supreme Court interpretation that Samuel Atachia was seeking, or on the minerals aspect of the Minerals Act that was being used in this case?
Well, that would have taken the case too long. It would have taken too long. We don't know when the Supreme Court will do the interpretation. So that was way too long. Even the first question is, as to whether the Supreme Court would even accept to do the interpretation, nobody can tell. You see, when you do a reference, what Atachian's request is that send it to the Supreme Court that this and this and this require interpretation. Now, as to whether the Supreme Court will agree, we will not even know. So it's not something like Justice Kokuvite could take it to the Supreme Court, let's say a week. And don't forget, 31st of July, next week, Friday. That's our last day. We are going on vacation. So from 1st August to about 10th October, these kind of cases, the type that involve giving judgment in criminal cases, people giving evidence, Supreme Court sitting, cannot happen. So the Supreme Court doesn't sit from 1st August to at that time in October. As I said, let's just say practically by somewhere around 10th October, the Supreme Court would not work. Remember that even the year we're clamoring that the Supreme Court should work during the vacation to take care of this Daniel Yao Domlevo case, where we thought that Akufo-Addo had sacked him because they didn't want Domlevo to catch them stealing. Even that one, the Supreme Court didn't sit. The Supreme Court didn't sit.
Right.
Much less at this one. So what I'm saying is that the timelines simply didn't favor Atachian's request. The timelines didn't favor. In any event, and the judge also said that she has done her own interpretations. So what will happen is that now that the decision has been rendered, by all means, they will disagree. So they can file an appeal, and then they can file for appeal, what do you call it, pending for bail. They can also file for bail. It can
right,
be
right. So Martin, what I'm trying to understand is, I mean, a number of times we've heard that, you know, the wheels of justice grind slowly, and I hear you make the case on timing and the fact that the Supreme Court's interpretation could take a really long time. What would we rather have, that we have this done well and done right, or we rush in getting to a decision as we, you know, as it may be, it may not be the case, which is why I'm asking, right? Was it a legally correct step that the judge had taken in this case?
Yes, on the facts of this case, yes. So I'm very mindful of that policy. Yes, even the courts also adhere to it. That's why justice grinds slowly. That we would rather take our time and do it right than to rush and to abuse somebody's human rights, etc. Yes, that's not lost on the court. And almost every lawyer who means well for this country, we invoke it all the time. But on the facts of this case, I don't think much injustice has been done. You see, when you listen to the judgment, the evidence so far, Wontumi doesn't deny, right? It doesn't deny that he gave the land. But he is saying he gave the land as a concession to this Henry Okum and JC Apia to do reclamation. So let's go to the facts. So in order to determine whether there is danger of abuse to his rights, you look at what really happened. What really happened is that the forest has been degraded, forest destroyed in mining operations. And what's the response? Then Wontumi says, oh, I only gave it to him to do reclamation. But the person you gave it to says, no, I did mining on it. Mining. So the one who was in the center of it, the one who undertook the illegal mining, is saying that no, you gave it to me to do mining. So it's mining I've done and destroyed the forest. And Wontumi said, no, I only asked you to come and cover up. That's do reclamation. But you know where Wuntumi's case falls apart, as shown in the analysis of Justice Kokuvite.
Very well. And just a quick tracking back of what we have discussed already. I've just been told that there is no case yet at the Supreme Court. Rather, Samuel Atachia, who is counsel for Chairman Wontumi, had indicated an interest to do so, or a desire to do so. So, Martin, I guess that we are back to the point that indeed it was a sound legal decision that was taken, and no legal misstep had been taken in this process at all. But looking ahead,
Yes.
you've talked about how there could be other options for them post this decision. What could be there for Chairman Wontumi after this decision?
Good. Now let's correct. Maybe the way perhaps the person didn't hear well. So let's correct what's happening. Atachia brought an application, okay, to the court that there is Justice Kokuvite should send the matter to the Supreme Court, Senate. Nobody has said that there's a matter before the Supreme Court. So let's say maybe the person didn't hear well or he doesn't understand.
Oh,
So let's take our
that was
time.
not for you. That was for me. Because I had
No, so
asked the
let's
question on the
explain.
premise that the matter was already at the Supreme Court. So I was running it
Oh.
back to correct my question.
But I mean, I didn't answer it on the basis that the question, the case was in the Supreme Court. No,
Very
the
well.
motion is before the judge in the High Court. So he is requesting the judge. And the judge has to look and see whether, in actual fact, it should be sent. So Justice Kokuvite, in reading through, dismissed it and said, no, I'm not sending it. The matters you've raised, I'm not sending it. So
Very
then
well.
I was also asking that even when it's sent, oh, it takes a long time. They don't deal with that immediately. So we're just further explaining. Okay. Yes. So now to your new question. Yeah.
Right. So I'm asking, what are the options now post the sentencing?
Yeah. So a notice of appeal, and then he will be asking for bail pending appeal. Yes, the laws allow it. And that's why earlier on I said if you can demonstrate that the judge got it very wrong, then that is where he can get bail. But if he doesn't demonstrate that, he will continue to serve the sentence. Another option, which I see may well help him and which will support some time in the future, is when he asks for a rate, not in JM's administration, the next NDC administration, because 20 years by our laws, when they give you any term of imprisonment, generally, I'm doing the general rule so that there's no time for the exceptions. The general rule, you serve 2/3. So in this case, you do 20 divided by 3, and then you throw away 1/3. The remaining 2/3 is what you serve. So in this case, if you're doing 20 divided by 3, I think somewhere it will be 6 point something. 6 point something. Now, so you throw away one of the 6. So now he'll be doing a little above 13 years.
Right.
So above 13 years, that's what he should serve. Now, out of this 13 is still very long. So I support a case where maybe by 7 years, if it's any time between 5 and 7 years, if it's granted a pardon with the extra request that he should properly reclaim, apart from the penalty the judge has imposed, if you make available money for this proper reclamation, yes, between 5 and 7 years, if he's granted a pardon, it's fine. It's fine.
And over this period, we know that he's facing additional cases as well. But Martin, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner. We've just been discussing that breaking news we have been covering over the last hour or so here on TV3 about the sentencing of Chairman Wontumi, the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chair, to 2 20-year terms in prison and about 10,000 penalty units as well, Moena.
10,000 penalty units for each of the counts. So count
counts.
1 and then count 4 as well, as we've been making viewers aware of. I'm going to take us to Ashanti region pretty quickly because as we've been speaking, we've mentioned repeatedly that that's the hub, the home, right, of Bernard Entry-Boisiaku and the heartbeat of the NPP, right? Evans Inkum is at the Hatsa Lodge, where a number of persons affiliated to the NPP and what have you have gathered, and we're going to get a bit more in terms of details from him as well. Evans, appreciate that you've joined us and you've been with us all through. For now, the details have simmered a bit. People are becoming more and more aware as to what has happened to the Ashanti Regional Chair of the NPP. Talk to us as to immediate reactions from persons in and around and within the party as well who've been speaking to you, even if behind the scenes?
A lot of discussions are happening here at the Hasta Lodge, where potential executives of the regional base of the MPP are being vetted. And I can tell you that the process has been impacted by the verdicts. Initially, this place looks very lively. That is before the verdict was being delivered or was to be delivered. This particular place looked very lively, but just after the delivery of judgment, the whole atmosphere changed. And I can tell you, a good number of them have left already. The kind of mood that I witnessed when I first came here has changed drastically. But I've been speaking with some members of the party, particularly an aspiring regional communication officer of the party, of course, who has also remained a member of the communication team and also a member of the professional group of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Ishak Gobe, and he has been sharing his thoughts as far as judgment is concerned.
Evans, we'll hear from him pretty shortly as well in terms of, but this Hatsa Lodge, what is its significance with the NPP? Why that place for the party bigwigs as well to gather as they listened in and we're getting details from the courts today?
Well, for some years now, this is where they've been having the vetting. That is vetting of parliamentary candidates and that of regional regional executives as far as the MPP is concerned. It has been a safe haven for them when it comes to vetting, maybe because of its location. A quiet place, very conducive, and so they are able to have a successful exercise when it comes to vetting. And that is why it has become part of them as far as their internal or intra-party politics is concerned.
Right, Evans, let's listen to the communications officer of the NPP in the region who you've been speaking to now.
I'm not a lawyer, but as a layperson, my view is that 20 years is a lot of years. That's a gentleman who just turned 50. And if he's going to spend the next 20 years in jail, well, that will be somewhere after his 70th birthday. And therefore, it's a moment of sadness for the New Patriotic Party, and in particular for the MPP Ashanti. Chairman Wontumi, for me, in terms of service to the party, although from a university campus, has always invited me when there are issues about elections, issues about research, and any other matter that he deems fit. I would say I am either the first or one of the few that will be invited to come and assist him at the regional party level. It's somebody that we have worked closely with, and therefore, whether you love him or hate him.
Thank you for those details. I'm sure all throughout today we'll get a bit more in terms of reaction from the people, the general populace outside of the membership, direct membership of the NPP as well, what they make of this ruling, because we know Wontumi is a big name in the Ashanti region as well. We'll connect with you again shortly. Evans, thank you very much. Kems, I'm going to just come back to you because we'll have to go back to the court to catch a bit more in terms of details as well.
You're absolutely right about him being a big name. We'll talk about that in a tad. But right now, let's head back to the courts. This is our continuing coverage of the conviction and sentencing of the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman Wontumi to 2 20-year terms and 10,000 penalty units for each of the 6 offenses he was charged with. Sixtus Don Ulu is joining us from the courts where he's picking reactions from people who were gathered there.
So abusuya we and some a so our political high unit. So chairman Wontumi and I see ade emu ayeden ede amana esi eboso ankasa NPP for no so ede ensem bi to abonten right now no omo eko emergency meeting na enye easy cry but am say some je penekoko teaser ensem we ede my aha gossip politics TV so